Well, hello, everybody. We are live Washington WREIA meeting for January 2021. And I thank you so much for joining me tonight as you kind of come into the broadcast room. If you want to say hello or just let us know you're a part of the group tonight, that would be great. Also, throughout the broadcast, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type those on the screen, and they'll get those to me so I can answer those as you go. One of the challenges, and I know all of us have been dealing with Zoom meetings and StreamYard meetings and different virtual meetings that we have. Sometimes it's hard to know if anyone's out there if we're just talking to the screen. So feel free to chime in. Let me know you're out there. Let me know if you have certainly any questions. Tanya, hello. That is a cute little one there. Thanks for joining us tonight. We got some exciting things to talk about. It's already the third week in January. We got a little late start this year. A lot's been going on, as I'm sure all of you know, and a lot has been happening certainly in our business and in our lives. You can see kind of behind me that it's a little bit of a blank canvas. After 18 years, we decided to move our offices. Our landlord kept jacking up our rent even in the pandemic, and we just decided that we didn't need as much space as we had. So we moved literally about a mile away into a newer office building, and we're just still kind of getting settled. So our backdrop is what we hope it'll be one day. So hopefully we'll get that going. But hope everyone is doing well. Hope folks are kind of getting through this pandemic, if you will. I know certainly as the clock turned 12:01 on January 20, end of 2020, I was relieved. But a lot of you maybe feel the same way I do, is that 2021 came along and a lot hadn't changed. A lot of our kids aren't back in school. A lot of restaurants, hey, Gary, good to see you. A lot of our restaurants are still closed down. Different businesses are still kind of struggling, and life kind of goes on. But hopefully with the vaccines, with a lot of changes certainly in the administration and our government, and a lot of things going on. Hopefully, as the months go by here in this year, we'll kind of slowly get out of this pandemic. That is, I'm sure, all of our hopes and prayers for our businesses and for everyone. So, but we do have to keep going. We have to continue to keep working on our businesses and growing. And tonight, I definitely wanted to spend a little time talking about getting off 2021 with generating leads. That is kind of the salve, if you will, to all our businesses. I tell people all the time, hey, Nate, good to see you. I tell people all the time that the cure-all for a lot of businesses, obviously, is generating certainly more business, which puts more profits into our pockets. Rory, great to see you. I hope all is well down there in Waldorf. As people come in, but again, so generating leads, right? Generating business. That's what we're all about as small business owners. And I wanted to start this year out with some things that I've started seeing in my business, things that we're shifting over to, and things that I think probably will help you, whether you're a first-time real estate investor and you're just trying to get your feet wet and you're kind of figuring out what to do, or if you're like me or somewhere in between, you've been at this for a long time and you're always changing, you're always looking for things that you can do. Hey, Mark, I guess you're on someone else's Zoom account. Good to see you. Mark Barron is a good mortgage officer within the group. Regina, again, great to see you. So looks like we got some folks joining us now. So that is great. So tonight we're talking about kind of the header. The subject is data mining. Data mining for generating leads. But before I kind of dive into that, again, just kind of want to open the meeting up with, if you've never joined Washington WREIA, if this is your first time, certainly we welcome you. We've been doing this now for many, many years. I guess this is our 10th or 11th month, I guess, doing virtual meetings like a lot of folks around the Beltway. But Washington WREIA is just a group of real estate investors. We get together on a monthly basis and we talk real estate investment. Some of the benefits of kind of joining a virtual meeting like this, or hopefully one day as we kind of gather together again in person, it's vital. It's vital if you're a new real estate investor, if you've been at this for a while, to have a group that, if you will, kind of share the same beliefs, the same thoughts on the real estate business. And certainly those folks that have joined and kind of chimed in, I know many of them certainly believe these things that I'm going to tell you. A group like this can supply resources for you. So if you need a plumber or a carpenter or a state attorney or any kind of thing that you need around your business, reach out to the members here in this group. Certainly reach out to me if you need a name or a number or an email. Let us know. We're happy to connect people together in order to help you with your real estate investment business. Education, we're always trying to give you some firsthand knowledge, if you will. Myself and other members want to let you know what we're doing in our businesses. You certainly can replicate that. Many of you will go on to do much greater things than I certainly have ever done. But learning from people that are doing the business in your own backyard is the greatest education that you can get. We are made up of people that kind of follow. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do things that other people are doing. Put your spin on it. Put your expertise on it. But certainly there's a lot of things that you can learn from other people that are involved in the business. Jamie, good to see you. Thanks for checking in with us. So education, networking. Now, again, online networking is a little tougher, but you certainly can reach out on a weekly basis. A phone call, an email, a text, social media obviously has made networking much easier than in the past. So keep up your networking, keep up your ability to connect with people that are in the real estate investment business. Washington WREIA can be a resource for that. And then something else that we talked about is you get to know people online here in your social media databases, if you will, your sphere of influence. Always having a belief that the real estate investment business is alive and well. And folks, let me tell you, it is. Things change, right? We all know that things change, but the bottom line is the real estate investment business can provide you and your family with a lot of benefits revolving around business. It can provide you long-term wealth. It can provide you cash flow. It can literally change your life if you learn how to adapt strategies to make money in real estate investment. And we hope by staying here and listening to people just like you, that you will understand that there really isn't a lot of special talents and skills, if you will. A lot of this can be learned. A lot of this can be applied to the current market, wherever you're listening from, and you can reap the benefits of understanding and applying real estate principles all across this country. So that's my 2 cents on WREIA and groups like this. I encourage you to attend these meetings. I encourage you to participate. I encourage you to reach outside of this meeting with other members, other people, and to keep your businesses moving forward. Okay. We did not have a deal of the month this month, but I did want to take a minute to just throw out to you folks about this real estate market. It is something else right now. I recently completed a project we put on the market here last Thursday, little townhouse in Columbia, Maryland. Folks, my phone rang off the hook. This was a simple 3-level townhouse under $300,000 in Howard County. Obviously, because of that price point, because of good condition, not perfect condition, but good condition, the phone rang and rang and rang. And we ended up going over ask and getting a very fair term deal, meaning very little contingencies and a very nice resale price. And again, if you're listening, if you have any other examples of that, you just want to throw up on the screen, let us know. But in my world, on the resale side, on the part where we're selling properties, the phone is ringing off the hook. Why is that? Why is the market so great, right? Why is the resale market so buoyant, if you will? Why is it such a seller's market? Well, in my opinion, and Russell, you can chime in on this too. In my opinion, there's 2 things going on. It's very, very simple economics 101. It's supply and demand. We just don't have a lot of supply out there. I believe because of the pandemic, I believe that people are kind of hunkered down. I believe that people don't really know where to go. They don't really want to go anywhere, if you will. And the fact that interest rates are so low. So buying a house, especially on the lower price range, and this is happening on all price ranges, quite honestly, right now, but on those lower price ranges, shoot, you can buy a house now with not a tremendous amount of money and literally have, right, Russell said it, no inventory, and literally have a mortgage payment less than rent. So if you got in trouble, right, if you lost your job or something happened to you, you can literally rent that property for more than your mortgage payment if you're securing in those great 30-year mortgages. man, keep those 30-year mortgages just humming. Just long-term, cheap debt will lead to great riches in the future. So inventory, yeah, Russell said it. That's the bottom line. We have no inventory. So when there's a good property going on the market, there's enough buyers swarming that those prices are being pushed up a little bit. A little bit alarming rate, to tell you honestly. The phone rang pretty hard all weekend for a simple townhouse in Columbia. I wish I had 20 more. But that's not how it always works. So be aware of that. Watch that. I think as we come out of this pandemic and more people are comfortable and have the ability to find houses and I want to move and retire and downsize and buy their first home, I think the supply will probably increase. And I think that will probably, hopefully, maybe temper a little bit of these phone calls coming in, these rising prices. So we don't want this market to soar too high, because that kind of gives some of us that have been around a while a little feeling of 2004, 2005, 2006, a little bit of a bubble, because we don't want to be on the backside of that where prices crater. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're in a buying mode. Maybe you want to create a rental portfolio. So there's always ways to make money depending on where the market goes. All right. As I said tonight, and again throughout the presentation, please, if you have a question for me or maybe someone else that is chiming in, let us know. We'd be happy to answer any questions as we go through our presentation. That's the biggest drawback I see from some of these virtual meetings, and I've attended many, and I know you have too, is that sometimes the interaction is a little tough. I mean, when I can't be in front of you and I can't see your faces and I can't see your reactions, I don't know if you're, on the side eating Fritos and watching the news, or maybe helping your kids with homework. So if you do have anything that you can chime in on, we'd be happy to have you participate in tonight's meeting. Okay, so let's kind of dive into tonight's meeting. Let me ask you a kind of an opening questions. This is on marketing, right? This presentation is on generating leads. This presentation is about getting all of us off to a good start, even though we're 3 weeks into January. But if we can decide, and whatever your lead generation becomes, whatever you decide to do as a lead generator, the best deals are what? And again, this is broad. The best deals are what? I don't care if you're buying your first rental, your first buy, renovate, and sell, or you're buying a trophy A building in downtown DC. Where do generally the best deals come from? Anyone want to throw out an answer to that as I throw that out? Where do they come from? What, if you could say, man, the best deals I've had in my career, the best deals that I'm looking for are what would you say? I'll give you a minute. The best deals are what? Anybody want to throw in something? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody shy. And there's no wrong answers here. But the best deals in my business, the best deals that I've had, and I'm sure some of you would agree with this, are when I am directly across from the seller, where there's no intermediary between me and that seller. There's not a real estate broker. There's not an attorney. There's not an accountant. There's no estate planning representative. It's just me and that seller. Generally, that property is off market, meaning it's not to the public. Now, have we all bought great deals at auctions? I'm guessing low prices, right? Those are the best deals. Real estate agent through networking. Okay, fair enough. In my experience, it's been that off-market deal. It's been that deal that nobody else knows about, if you will, or very few people. Now, again, we've bought houses at auction. We've bought houses from banks. We've bought short sales. We've bought through real estate agents, through networking, all of the answers people have given us. But the best deals, in a lot of ways, is that direct contact with that seller. So the point of tonight, and as we go along, is how do we get more opportunities to be across from that seller? How do we get more opportunities to be in front of that seller when they decide that now is a time to sell? Okay, so put that in the back of your mind. Now, let's back up. The first thing, and those of you that know me and have been around some of my teaching, if you will, I want to make this process. I don't want to make this too high level from a standpoint of It doesn't have to be. Let's break this down into very simple tasks where we can apply it. One of the things in education at WREIA that I failed to mention is our goal is when we're done with this, that when you turn off this computer tonight and you start thinking about what you heard, it's something you can take. It's something you can apply right away to your business. So let's get started here. The first thing I want you to do, the very first step, and hopefully a few of you are taking notes on this, is I want you to understand your strategy. Meaning, in some of the emails that I wrote to promote this meeting, I want you to understand how you are going to make money this year in real estate investment. I don't want to hear, I will do a little bit of everything. Now, if you're an experienced investor, you probably have different buckets, different income streams, and that's great. But if you're new or you're just kind of feeling your way in, or even if you're a mid-level investor, if you will, you've been at this for a few years, I want you to understand your strategy. What are you going to do to make money this year? Are you going to wholesale? Are you going to buy, renovate, and sell? And/or are you going to hold properties for long-term appreciation and cash flow? I want you to focus on that. I want you to choose one of those. I want that to be ingrained in your mind, because after you do that, I want you to sit down and I want you to take a few minutes and I want you to map out a few things, because this is going to lead us to our discussion on data mining. But first we have to, number one, target what are we looking to do, because that's going to really depend on our data mining, okay? And so the next step is you're going to map out who is your ideal seller. Number one, who is that person? Number two, who is that ideal tenant if you're buying and holding? Where is your ideal location? Meaning, where do you think these properties are lurking? Where is that ideal location? Folks, I have learned that birds of a feather flock together. So when you find a good buy, renovate, and sell property, chances are there's another one lurking right around the corner. Same neighborhood, same profile, same demographic, if you will. Think about that. Same with a rental. If you have a killer cash flow property somewhere, chances are there's another one very close by. So who's your ideal location? Where's your ideal property? Okay. Daniel said wholesaling. Great. I want to be on your buyers list, Daniel. Ideal property. And what I mean by that is, what does that look like? If you're buying, renovating, and selling, is it a condo? Is it a townhouse? Is it a single family? Is it a 4-unit building? Step back, think about it. What's your ideal candidate, your ideal property? What does that look like? Okay. Ideal renovation if you're a buy, renovate, and sell person. Now, what do I mean by that? Folks, there's different types of renovation. My company, we do best when we go in and we take the existing footprint, and we update. Okay, we update kitchens and bathrooms and flooring and lighting and drywall and landscaping and roofs and windows and put a few bells and whistles in. We don't do as well, from my experience, 25 years now, of taking a house and adding on additions, on kind of revamping things where we're tearing it all down and reorganizing it all. We don't do as well. From a return standpoint, we don't do as well. Now, do I do those? Will I do those? Absolutely. Would I rather take an existing property and updating it and turning it in 60 days from start, renovate, and have it on the market? Yes. That's my ideal. Ideal price range. Do you want to be in that $400,000 and under in Prince George's County, or $550,000 and under in Montgomery County, or in DC? What's your price point? You want to focus on higher prices. I met with a guy in December that was focusing more or less on $750,000 to $1 million properties. That was his ideal price range. So there's no wrong answer here. You've got to figure some of this out. Same with rent. We're kind of bouncing back and forth. What's your ideal rent and ideal aftermarket price? Now, again, where do you want to be in the market? You have to decide this. Now, again, I have an advantage. Some of you listening have an advantage. We've been at this for a long time. I know exactly all these data points. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know the exact type of property. In fact, I even know the style of house that we do best in. I know how much renovation monies, that sweet spot we spend. I know the after repair value that we do best in certain counties and certain neighborhoods. I know where these properties are. Now, again, if you're experienced, take time, step back, and really spend some time thinking about this. Okay, thinking about this, because this is going to matter when we mine for this data. Now, if you're brand new, Okay. If you're brand new, some of this is going to be foreign to you. You might be, geez, I don't know. I'm just looking for my first deal. Understood. Step back, take some time, network, talk to some experienced investors, get some mentoring, get some education, figure out where the sweet spot is in the market for the strategy that you want to employ. Okay. If you want to wholesale, where are the majority of the buy, renovate, and sell guys? Where do they want to be? Focus on those properties, because once you secure one, once you have one, now that's going to be that much more popular, if you will, that much more valuable to that buy, renovate, and sell guy. If you're renting properties, understand your rents, understand your values. All these things matter. And I hope I'm getting that through to you here virtually. I really want you to step back and think about some of these questions I've thrown out, because that will matter as we mine for data. Okay, let's keep moving here. What do we got? Man, this time goes fast. All right. I probably got 16 hours of material here. All right. Okay. The next thing you're going to decide, all right, once you got this picture of what you want to do this year and where those properties are, you want to figure out your marketing strategy. There's a couple, and I'm going to blow through a few of these so I can get to what I want to talk about most tonight. But I've employed, for the past 20 plus years, I've employed a number of these. Number one, I've employed the network and database marketing strategy. Very, very simple, right? You're going to stay in front of your network. You're going to stay in front of them with articles, with blogs, with social media posts. You are going to create this database of folks, and you're going to network with them constantly. That's why I started Washington WREIA 18 years ago. That's why I trained many, many hundreds of people with profitable property. And I've tried over the years to stay in front of those people, to not only educate them and help them with their business, and many of them gone on much greater lengths than I ever will go, but also to generate different types of business from that network. This network for you could be wholesalers. It could be real estate agents, as Regina said earlier. It could be bird dogs. It could be students if you do some teaching. It could be former partners or potential partners. It could be contractors. All these people, you are going to have to learn how to gather that data, gather that information, okay? Database it, and then stay in front of those people with relevant content in order to give you an excuse, if you will, to be in front of them, to keep reminding them that, hey, raise your hand, I'm here. You know, I'm right here. I buy, renovate, and sell houses. I hold properties long-term. Whatever your strategy is, you want to keep preaching that to that database, okay? The other thing, again, I'm going to go through these fairly quick till I get to the data mining, is a referral-based marketing strategy, okay? Very similar to network, but you're constantly looking for referrals. So as you use different professionals in your business, you're going to use them for your business, but you're going to also ask them to use you in their business. What do I mean by that? Real quick, if you heard this story, I apologize, but it's very relevant to this. When I first got started, I was painting houses, had a painting contracting company. And when I decided to get into the real estate investment business, although it kind of decided on me, if you will, I was really excited one day to get out of the painting clothes, get on a suit and tie, and actually have a meeting with an accountant. And I went to Bethesda. I went up this nice high rise. I sat in the lobby, and man, they came out and they gave me cookies. They offered me a Diet Coke. And man, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And then once the accountant was ready for me, they ushered me into his office. I sat across this big wooden desk. I could oversee Bethesda through the windows. He basically spent a minute and a half with me, barely knew my name, and said, thanks for coming in. And lo and behold, 3 or 4 days later, again, we were early. There was no email there. And I got a letter in the mail, and it was a bill. And the bill was astonishingly high. And I thought, no wonder they gave me a free cookie and a free Coke. There's nothing free about this. This was ridiculous. This guy was never going to help me build my business. It made me feel good. I felt important. I felt like, wow, this was a nice office. But that kind of spurred me on to going, John, what are you doing here? You need to find people like you. You need to find small business owners that can not only help you professionally, but can also help you build your business. And that's when I understood immediately that I had to find the attorney, the accountant that was working out of probably a one room, 2 room office that might have had an office manager that was not in some fancy building paying high rent, and that they appreciated my business, but in return I could ask them for business in return. Hey, do you know any cash investors? Hey, do you know any properties that need work? Hey, do you know any landlords? All these things that we are always looking for can come through referrals. Excuse me, let me get a drink here. So referral-based marketing, again, we're leading up to what we're kind of the main subject tonight. So network and database marketing and referral marketing. You can do this with professionals. You can do this with contractors. You can do this with realtors, refer them to somebody maybe in your neighborhood that's looking to list a house retail, but in return, maybe they can help you find some off-market distressed property. So you're always thinking in your mind, who can I help build their business while they help me build my business? I hope that can make some sense to you. All right, let's keep going. Now, as things have changed here, okay, as things have changed in the market, I think all of us would agree that the resale market is humming. I mean, it is popping. If you got a good house and it's priced right and it's in good condition, folks, you stick a sign in the ground, you hire a realtor, you put it on the Bright MLS system, you put it on Zillow or Redfin, whatever the case may be, that house is going to get some showings and that's going to get some offers. And I assure you that if it's priced right in a decent location, priced well in decent condition, you're going to have a contract within a week to 10 days. It's just happening all across the Washington, D.C. metro area. So that market's hopping. Now, on the other side of the market, what I call the investor market, man, it is competitive. I think we would all agree with that. I got news for you, good news and bad news. The bad news is it's always been competitive. It always has been. Ever since I started back in the 90s, it has been competitive to find good deals. That's just part of business. I mean, they don't fall in your lap. Making 30, 40, 50, up, sometimes upwards of, more than that on a renovate and sell property. It doesn't just fall out of the trees. You have to work for it. You have to understand what you're looking for. You have to negotiate, and you have to keep swinging in order to get those hits. So it's always been competitive. Was that the bad news? Yeah, that's the bad news. The good news is there are still deals out there, and it has gotten more competitive. I think that's because of the internet. I think that's because of the TV shows. I think that's for just how the real estate investment business kind of come out of the closet, if you will. There's more realtors doing it. There's more mortgage brokers doing it. There's just more people that want to buy, renovate, and sell a house or own a long-term rental or wholesale a deal. Certainly, as Daniel said, a lot of people want to wholesale a piece of real estate. And that's just the bottom line. So as professional real estate investors, and I know those of you tuning in consider yourself that, we need to stay ahead of the game. We need to figure out, okay, what can we do in order to stay ahead of the competition and make sure that we get enough qualified leads in order for us to make offers, in order for us to achieve our goals that we have set, hopefully back in November, December for 2021. I've given you a couple different strategies to market. There are many, but what I want to focus on here is basically is using data, right? As I started out at the beginning of the meeting, I told you that I believe, at least in my business, the best deals have been myself, my company, whatever the name that is, JB and Really Investment, Cat Evan LLC, Profit Property. I have a lot of different names. As we market directly to the consumer, directly to the seller, and we retrieve those leads and we close those leads, those are generally the best deals we have. Now, as Regina said, sometimes you have a realtor refer you, or you have an intermediary refer you to that seller, and now you're dealing with them one-on-one. It's not necessarily out to that public domain. Because I don't know about you, but if you've tried to buy a property on the multiple listing service lately, man, that's tough. Now, in different markets, that strategy can work. Literally, where a property is sitting right there on the multiple listing service, you can go take a look at it, you can make an offer, and you can get some of those. I'm not saying it never happens. I'm saying as markets change, strategies change. But right now, the competition with investors is very high, not only here in Washington, D.C. metro, but across the country. People are looking for deals. You need to separate yourself. So I'm saying what you have to do is you have to come up with a strategy in order to directly market to the consumer. And that's why I started out with, I want you to spend some time And I want you to decide what strategy you're going to do to make money, and then where some of those questions: ideal customer, ideal neighborhood, ideal property, ideal price range. All those things are important. As you have that, now we're going to start creating this data. Folks, big data, it's a big deal. My son, the senior in college, is literally majoring in data, if you will. I mean, data is everywhere. It's taking over our world. One of the emails I mentioned, our little computers that we all have at the hip, on our hip or in our pockets or in our purses. Folks, that is just as we type away all day and do searches and shop and get traffic directions, all that is just data that is being compiled every single day. And it's huge amounts of data. In the real estate world, folks, there's mounds and reams of property data. I think you all know that. There's demographic data. There's behavioral data. That is the interesting data, okay? They're using data for values. You all know this. There's companies out there that are going to be buying houses, off this data, off this value-oriented data. They're not going to visit the house. They're going to literally make offers, and they are right now, right over the computer. In fact, one of my last 2 sales that I've had, I did not have an appraiser go out to the house. That was very interesting to me. They called it a desk appraisal, because what they did is they're aggregating data, and they're seeing that the house that I sold was kind of cookie cutter, wasn't in a rural neighborhood, it wasn't set apart. There was enough data in that neighborhood for them to assess what that house was worth. Now, they called me on the phone. They got some information on some of the updates that we did to the property, but fascinating. They never went out. So they're using data in order to even value real estate. You all know some of this, but let's step back. Let's think about how we can use this data for our purposes. Now, most of us are not big corporations with mound or, bankrolls of money that we can just throw out randomly to not get any result. We have to be very targeted in what we are doing. Something else I want to talk about here as we start this conversation is just defining what predictive analysis is. The best way I can describe predictive analysis is using data, okay? They use, again, some of this is going to be kind of foreign to some of us, but statistical algorithms and machine learning, right? AI, machine learning, to identify the likelihood of future outcomes based on historical data. So they're predicting what's going to happen. Now we get really, really kind of in the weeds. Really interesting stuff here. The best way to describe this is think of some of your driving apps like Waze. When you type in your direction to Waze, it will essentially say it's 5 miles, but it's going to take 25 minutes. Because they're predicting the length of time based on data that they're receiving. Obviously, in this case, it's the traffic. It's the traffic ahead of your routes in order for you to get to your destination. They're using predictive analysis to predict that if you go this route, it's going to take you X amount of time. I mean, this is pretty incredible stuff, okay? So predictive data, think about that here for a minute. Now, how are we going to use data in order to generate leads? If you know what you're looking for, your strategy, if you know where you're looking, if you know the price point you're looking, if you know as many data points as you possibly can about your business, you can start compiling data in order to target your marketing dollars to that subset, that data, that subset, offering your service, if you will, and your results are going to start increasing much more. Let's back up here. So I am a buy, renovate. I do a lot of things. I lend money. I own rental properties, but the main focus of my day-to-day income generating part of my business is we buy, renovate, and sell houses. Okay. I know approximately the price point that we're looking for. I know certainly the amount of renovation we need to put in the house. I know the approximate profit that we're looking for per deal. Okay. And I know based on my experience and based on the volume of houses I've done, I know where these houses are. You can do that too. It's not hard. So what we're doing, like a lot of investors, okay, this is not a secret, but in order to incorporate it is, a lot of people know what to do, but they never incorporate it into their day-to-day business. We know exactly where the houses are, the sellers are that we need to communicate with. So you can take that knowledge and you can start compiling these lists. You build targeted lists. And for an example, think of something like you want to market your services to estates. You can certainly buy lists of estate properties, meaning you can buy lists of properties that have filed probate, that have real estate in them. You can go to the courthouse, you can hire a third-party company to provide this. That's an idea of using data, right? Very targeted data, and then compiling your or marketing your message to that person. Okay, and we bought hundreds of estates. But again, if you have what you're looking for, you're going to compile this data and you're going to then use that data in order to market your services. Just some examples. Maybe a list of vacant houses, maybe a list of expired listings, maybe a list of out-of-state landlords, maybe a list of properties with equity. What you're doing is you're narrowing your search, you're narrowing your target, you're compiling this data, this list, and then you're going to market some of that data to it. If you're interested in some of this predictive analysis, again, there's a couple companies, one called, they're all over, but one called SmartZip in Sarasota, Florida. They do a lot of predictive analysis for real estate agents and investors. Mashvisor is another one. They're all over. Now, again, you've got to decide whether you're going to hire a third-party company to compile this data, or if you're going to do some of this yourself. I'll get into that here in a minute. We need to put a system together. I'm big on systems. I'm big on the idea of let's put a system together. So let me tell you what you need to do. First of all, you need to compile and organize your data, right? Pretty simple. Where can we do that? Number one, you can use, if you're a real estate agent or you can hire a real estate agent, you can use something as simple as the Bright MLS. You can use the tax databases to compile as much data as you possibly can. Now, what this is giving you is historical data. This is not giving you predictive data, meaning it can give you who's out there, what their name is, where the property is, when they bought the property, where they took a mortgage out, things of that nature. You can use that, and we've used it routinely. In fact, we just bought a property down in Indian Head using our list off our Bright MLS data. Okay. There's other companies like a PropStream. Now, I know some of you have heard of PropStream. It's a subscription-based business. In my opinion, it's very, very good. I mean, they've compiled just volumes of data. And you can really hone in on zip codes and neighborhoods. They have a lot of information in that. They have when the person bought the house. They have the mortgages that they've taken out of the house. They have, if they have a judgment on the house. There's a lot of data in there. Now, something like PropStream as a third-party vendor will do it all for you. I mean, if you want to target, they'll even offer you marketing services. They'll offer you postcards. They'll offer you phone calls or offer you text messaging. And if you want to go that route, that's fine. I'm a believer that you take some of this compiled data and you do, or you learn how to market to that data on your own and then hire third parties to help you. But just, if you think you're just going to push a button and pay $199 a month and they're going to deliver you 3 to 4 great buy, renovate, and sell deals in the Washington, D.C. metro area, you're probably going to be disappointed. They can be a tool. They can be a source of information. They can be a vendor, if you will. But you're still going to have to do some of that negotiation, that hard work, that getting down in the dirt, if you will, and scouring these leads in order to get some deals put together. Once you have this data, again, PropStream, Bright MLS, there's plenty others that you're going to get this data from. Now you have to reach out. Now you have to market to that list, right? You have to do that through phone calls. Hey, nobody picks up the phone anymore. Well, that's not necessarily true. You have to do it through text messaging. There's services that you can hire to compile phone numbers, text messaging, emails. You might do some door hangers, believe it or not. If you have a database of 500 houses that fit your criteria, that fit the neighborhoods that you're looking for, that you know the numbers of those houses. There's nothing wrong with hiring a company to do a door hanger campaign. Hey, if you get 1 or 2 leads, that's going to pay for it for 3-4 years. There's companies that will go direct to voicemail. You know, you've heard of that, wireless voicemail. Go right to your voicemail. We've used some of that in the past. You can use direct print ads, meaning now you know, we've been very successful with this. Now you know where your houses are, right? The neighborhoods, the zip codes. Okay, Russell, knock on the door. Sure, you can do a door campaign. Anything that you can do to get in front of that seller and let them know your service based on your criteria, you have a better shot with that seller instead of just randomly going into a neighborhood right outside my office, start knocking on doors. I mean, could I do that? Sure. But if I've done no research, if I've done no idea of who those homeowners are, my hit rate is going to be much less. And I'm probably going to run out of money, energy, or time before I get a deal. So that's our point, where we want to make sure that we're targeting the right people, okay, when we're doing this data compiling. You could do print ads. In other words, you could advertise in different media in that certain area. You certainly can use social media, folks. You can target incredibly well with social media. All right. So you can literally advertise right to that subset, right to that target, that demographic, is if you take time understanding who that is. You can certainly, something I would definitely recommend is hire a good skip tracer. Now, I'm lucky. My brother-in-law is a private detective, so he can help me with my skip tracing. But there's national skip tracers, one called American Tracers. There's dozens of these, where literally they will hunt down, if you will, all the information that you need to know about the seller of that house. Employ them. They'll do it in bulk. It's not really that expensive if you really look at it. So do some research and find a good skip tracer that will pay in dividends to hunt down these people. Remember, our best deals are the deals that nobody else knows about, where these folks are just about ready to thinking about, hey, I need to sell or I want to sell. And that house hits your profile. That's where you want to be. Hire a competent VA, virtual assistant. We can help you with that. Let us know. Okay. Hire a virtual assistant to do some of the things that you don't want to do. Maybe they're mailing the letters. Maybe they're coming up with content for your web page. Maybe they're doing some phone calling. There's lots of things that a VA can do. And then also find a good, competent telemarketer. Folks, we have to be aggressive. We have to be dialed in to these sellers. And as long as you've targeted them, it's just not some random list, right? Or it's not a list that you bought off the internet that internet marketer sold to 5,000 people. And when you call the people, they're like, oh my gosh, would you stop calling me? No, you want to create your own data points. You want to create your own list and then use these techniques and strategies in order to hone in on these folks. You will be amazed at your results. Finally, using data and permission-based marketing or content-based marketing. This will drive traffic. Now, if you have a website, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be a landing page. But if you can drive traffic based on content, you want to give content. So, example, let's go for an example here. Let's go back to estates. A lot of you have heard about estate marketing. That's definitely a subset. It's very targeted. Okay. The folks own real estate. Instead of just always going to them saying, hey, I buy houses, what about if you kind of guided them to your webpage as a resource? Maybe they need information on the process. So you write just a simple white page on the process of estates in the state of Maryland. Make it different for Maryland, DC, and Virginia. Everything differs a little bit. Maybe you have a list of local estate attorneys on your website. Maybe you have a list of local accountants. Maybe you have definitions of different types of estates. Maybe you have a definition, frequently asked questions about estates. Something of value you're giving this list, this data. And so in order you're giving them value, in return, they're giving you something of value too. Probably a name, phone number, email, something where you can contact them. So in other words, they're giving you permission now. You've given them something of value and they're giving you permission in order to contact them. You're creating this relationship. Folks, this is how solid deals happen. Okay, solid deals happen. And so I think if you use some of these lists and some of this data that you're compiling, and then you kind of twist the marketing around and you don't just come right at them and say, hey, I buy houses for cash, 7 days close, as is. Nothing wrong with that if that's the way you go, but try to be a little bit different. Maybe you offer them something of value. Maybe you throw out a postcard and said, hey, visit our website and learn, right, the process of an estate, or what are the responsibilities of personal representative, something that they can glob onto. Maybe it depends what your target is, right? Then you kind of weave your marketing and your messaging to that group. And I think if you start doing this and you put your team together, you have a way to compile the data after you've thought about it. That's key. After you've thought about who that person is, who that seller is, compile that data. Next, decide your marketing strategy, right? How are you going to reach out? How are you going to market to them? Okay. And that's when you're going to start getting some conversations going. And if you combine that with some different marketing messages, I think you're going to start seeing some results. You're using again, everything is targeted to that market. So your social media, if you're posting things, if you're posting pictures, you're posting content, you're posting articles, or you're sharing with other people, you always want it to be very targeted to what you're looking for. If that social media is business oriented and you're trying to generate leads, if you incorporate all this within your business, you're going to be unstoppable. So again, any marketing strategy that you decide to employ, if you use data. So again, if I'm a network-based data marketer, like I am, I use networking and databases all the time. I want to create a message, create a marketing piece for the realtors in my database, right? Let them know, hey, it's January. I want to buy 4 houses before April. Right? I buy, renovate, and sell houses. What do you have coming up? And you want to keep in touch with them. And you don't want to just every now and then. You got to be in front of them on a consistent basis in order for them to generate you leads. Folks, this is the wave of where it's going. If you're looking for low-hanging fruit, it could be a long year. You got to start using this very targeted data and then some of this technology around this data to keep getting in front of these folks. And I think you're going to find some really good opportunities for you if you continue to do this. Questions, answers, anybody out there that has any questions or any examples maybe of them using data in order to generate some leads? We've been using data for many years, but again, really focused on our marketing strategies direct to the consumer. That is what our whole kind of marketing ideas kind of switched a little bit, where we're now really using our resources and our marketing strategies to go direct to the consumer. And we're having some great success with it. We just picked up a very nice house, about $230,000. Well, not about, we paying $230,000 for it. And we're going to resell about $425,000. We just picked one up at $170,000 that looks like about $315,000. Just picked one up at $172,000. That's going to be a little less, about $300,000, but we think we're going to quick sale it for about $249,000 after doing a little bit what we call mop and glow, which we love. And all of these things are coming out of compiling lists, compiling data, and then marketing directly that data to that consumer, getting a response, starting that relationship, because all of these don't happen overnight. Sometimes people are not quite ready. I'm working on a deal in Silver Spring that I started in early December, and I think we're just slowly working it, staying in touch, offering them good advice, offering them some assistance with some things that they have going on in the house, and that eventually I believe we will buy it. So using some of this data and some of this messaging will help. Target marketing target mentoring. I put that in my emails beginning of the year. And if I can help you with anything, just reach out to me. My cell phone should maybe pop on the screen here at some point. If it doesn't, I'll let you know. There it goes. The 301-943-5535. Just throw in mentor in that text. These sessions are going to be targeted. So if you want to talk about marketing, if you want to talk about data compiling, if you want to talk about wholesaling, if you want to talk about how to get your first rental. Oh, by the way, we had some great sessions with people, and a couple people actually bought their first rental property. And I was really excited about that because, again, we use some of these same strategy techniques to really hone in on neighborhoods and hone in on rental rates and hone in on values to help folks find their first rental property. So whatever that you might have in mind as you go along, if you need some target marketing mentoring, just go ahead and text that in, and I'd be happy to reach back out to you. I'll talk to you about different programs that we have to help you out. This is going to be an exciting year. Again, we've been all bottled up for a while. We've been cooped up in our houses, we will, and as prayerfully this vaccine comes out and people are feeling more comfortable, I truly believe this, and I don't know how long it's going to go for, but I believe once the genie is out of the bottle, if you will, this economy is going to go nuts for a little while. I mean, there's a lot of federal dollars being pumped in. There's a lot of people, a lot of pent-up demand with a lot of things. So buckle your seatbelts. I think this year is going to be really, really interesting. And I think if you're in a position as a real estate investor to take advantage of this kind of this moment in time here, I think you are really going to see some great results. So don't be shy. Use that cell phone number. Text me. Let me know if I can help you. Let me know if you want any target mentoring. I hope this was helpful. Sometimes I have these great ideas and I want to communicate it the best way I can. So I hope you got some good things out of tonight. Murphy, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Tanya, always good to see you and hear from you. Hope you have a great 2021. So if that's it for tonight, folks, I appreciate you tuning in. I hope you learned something. Don't be a stranger. Let's get out there and network. Let's get out there and market. Let's get out there and use those data points, if you will. And if you need any help with this, you want me to go further, because I only have 45 minutes here, certainly let me know. Thanks so much for joining me, folks, and we will see you here real soon. Warren, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck, Warren. I know you've been really out there hunting, and sounds like you got a couple of deals. Russell, I couldn't understand that text, but I think I'm going to say thank you. Magdalene, thank you very much. I hope everything's going well in your world. Folks, don't be shy to text and or reach out and give me a call. Love to hear from you. I'm like the rest of you guys, been cooped up, ready to get out there and ready to do some good real estate this year. All righty, guys. Take care. We'll see you soon.